Hi you guys, this is gonna be my January wrap up. 10 books in here. I guess we'll start with the bottom. Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation. The story is about Poppy and Alex. If I'm being honest, I'm gonna give this book like a 3 star. I would say the book was still rather enjoyable, but Poppy's character, she kind of just like got on my nerves. The reason why they stopped talking, Emily kind of like made it up to be like it was like some huge reason why they stopped talking. It was a really dumb reason why they stopped talking and why they stopped being friends. This was a friends to acquaintance, not quite enemies, to friends to lovers. Next book we're going to talk about is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. I'm going to give this book a solid 4 stars. Meredith loses her sister Claire, and her and her family, after like 2.5 or 3 years of not going to Martha's Vineyard like they usually do, they end up going back. They always play this game of assassin that Claire always won. So they're playing that game to have her memory live on. And so she basically returns as well because her favorite cousin is having a wedding. And basically she goes through this thing, falls in love with the groomsman's brother. It was a pretty enjoyable book. It was a very easy read. I liked Meredith's character, and I liked Whit's character. There wasn't like too much to them, I would say. The next book we're going to talk about is Beach Reads. I'm going to give this book a 4.5 stars. I loved Augustus and I loved January. They both had really good backstories and they were both battling their backstories like in the present day. They're like starting to share their secrets. They were starting to fall in love with each other. I did get frustrated with Augustus halfway through the book. He kind of didn't think that it would work out between them, but it ended up working out between them, so I'm just happy that it did. The next book is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. Yeah, McQuiston. This book gets a solid 5 stars from me. Easily one of my favorite reads. I loved August and I loved Jane, and then all of like the other characters, like all the side characters, like her roommates and stuff. I just loved it because they all played into each other's lives so very well, and I loved how her roommate stepped in to save Jane. So basically in this book, August, she moves back to New York back to college. I think she's in journalism. She sees Jane on her way to the Q train. The Q train's where she frequents. That's a train she always has to take. She wants Jane, like she finds her attractive, asks her out. Jane doesn't end up coming, and August is thinking like, well, maybe she just really wasn't that interested, even though she seemed all that interested. Jane is from the 60s or 70s. She's stuck on the Q line. Next, The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. I can give a solid 4 stars too. I loved Rosie's character. Cutesy and sweet. We're gonna talk about Lucas's character. Lucas was hot and sweet, okay? He was basically the perfect guy that every female wants. Rosie is like the engineer and a self-proclaimed novelist or writer. She basically quits her engineering job to become a full-time writer. However, she's having trouble writing her second book, and Lucas is her best friend's cousin. He's visiting from Spain, I believe it is. Something terrible happens to Rosie's apartment. She has the key to go stay in her best friend's apartment while her best friend is away on her honeymoon with their old boss from the engineering company, which that on its own. Lucas is supposed to be staying there. Her best friend doesn't end up telling Rosie that her cousin's supposed to be staying there, but unbeknownst to Lucas, Rosie has kind of been stalking Lucas's Instagram page and has basically fallen in love with him before even meeting him. She just stalks his Instagram page, and so then he basically is just like, we're gonna do these trial dates. I'm gonna help you write this next book. And then they fall in love in the process with each other. The next book we are going to rate Rosie's Curl and Weave. I live in Harlem, and this is basically about Rosie's Curl and Weave in Harlem on 125th. Basically, it's like these 4 stories in one thing that all ties into the shop. I'm gonna give this book a 4 star. I loved every single story. It's basically just about black love, which who doesn't love black love? And 4 short stories of black love, who could say no to that? So, and it's by 4 different authors as well. Absolutely love it. Give these ladies their props for writing this book. The next book that we're going to talk about, The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I'm going to give this book a 3.75. One of the twins is going to be getting married. She's the lucky twin. Olive is the unlucky twin. A honeymoon is up for grabs because the bride and the bridal party and everybody that was eating at that wedding got food poisoning or toxic something. So Olive and Ethan is the groom's brother. And so Olive and Ethan, they go on the honeymoon in place of her sister and their brother. It was very cute. I think that there was very little character development throughout the story. They just ended up liking each other. That's about it. We are going to talk about Throttled first. This is a part of the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. This book is about Maya and Noah. It's a F1 series. Lauren Asher, one thing I'm going to say about her is that she knows how to write the spicy scenes. That's all I'm going to say. From the 2 books that I've read from her so far, I'm going to say was a solid 4.5 for me. I absolutely loved Maya's character. I like the fact that she was an influencer because she wasn't like portrayed being snobby. She was this lighthearted girl. Love Santi. I cannot wait to read his book, which I think is Redeemed. That's the last book in the series. Noah. I ended up liking Noah's character like a quarter way through the book. Honestly, I don't think it took me that long to like Noah's character because yes, he was an but at the same time, this man went to therapy, not only for himself, but for the future that he wanted with Maya. And he stood up to his father, which is the biggest reason why he turned out, his parents are the biggest reason why he turned out the way that he is, not excusing his actions, which he later went to go get help for. So that's why I liked Noah, because he had such great character development. Maya, she sometimes got on my nerves just a little bit. This was brother's rival to lover. Oh, also, I just need to talk about this real quick. I loved the bromance that Noah and Santi shared after, like, halfway through the book. I absolutely loved it. Their bromance was the cutest thing ever. I loved it. And I also loved how Maya and Santi's parents took Noah in as their own, because Noah basically like chucked his parents out the window. It was just like, you know what? This is for me. This is for my growth. Bye. His dad, I hated his dad. He basically abused Noah, like hit him. Noah is a 30-year-old grown man getting hit by his father because he came in second place or he lost a race. Or better yet, when Santi crashed into him, his dad was losing it and slapping him all around the place. Like, no, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. 4.5 stars. Utterly enjoyed this book, cried, and I laughed hard. The next book that I want to talk to you about is none other than The Fine Print. I don't know what she's putting in these books, but they are crack. When I tell you I couldn't put this book down. Rowan and Zara, like, I just loved. This, first of all, gets 5 stars from me. 5 stars. Just like One Last Stop. This is 5 stars easily. Love this book. Rowan, he had great character development throughout it. Zara, loved her. There were times where I thought she overreacted, but then there were times where I thought that Rowan underreacted, if that makes sense. Comparing these 2 Lauren Asher books that I have read, Throttled and The Fine Print, I think the biggest theme in these 2 books are the men, no matter how screwed up they are, they find a woman that they love completely and totally, and that they want for themselves, that they absolutely love, that they will do anything for, and then they have unconditional love for these women. The difference between the fine print and Throttled, I think, is that it wasn't as slow as Throttled was. I think that if Throttled was a little bit more speeded up, that's totally cool. But we were getting the other thing that I like about Lauren Asher's books though too is that you get dual povs. So we love dual povs. You get it from the guy and from the female. And so you get to see both like the situations or like the next sequence like in each different pov, and I absolutely love it. The side characters in here, Zara's sister, she's the cutest thing. I absolutely love Zara's sister. So like weird. For some reason, I think I'm really gonna like Cal's book because just the unhinged, out of pocket things that Cal says in this book when he makes a cameo is absolutely hilarious. Like you've got to respect Cal for that. I love Cal for his character. Another thing in Lauren Asher's books that I'm seeing is the fathers are just crappy people. Rowan's dad, his dad went into a spiral and was just a terrible father. So absolutely hated his character. You lost your wife, your children lost their mother, and you decide to become a crappy father. 5 out of 5. Now, this book. This book, for me, first book in the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie, called Addicted to You. The plot of this book, the problems that the characters have. Lo's problem is not uncommon. Lily's problem is a little bit more uncommon. But they were so bad for each other. They were so toxic for each other, and they couldn't help each other any longer. Lily's character, love her, but she annoyed the living daylights out of me. She absolutely annoyed me because, girl, like, I don't know what it is to have that kind of like, that kind of high or that kind of like urgent want, like you have to have sex. Like, I don't know, but she was so selfish. She was so selfish. Like, I love her, but she was selfish. And then Lauren, he tried to stay and fix it. Lily, I felt like, was an enabler because she thought she was helping her own situation. And when they eventually got into a relationship after faking their relationship, it was just more detrimental because he had to put a strain on his addiction in order to fill hers. He was getting drunk and passing out more. Like, it was just all over the place. The writing was amazing. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion. I kind of like Connor. Like, I love Connor, actually. Love that man. Reich, I kind of hated him at the beginning. And then I started to like him. Only because he truly cared more than Lily cared because she was just being selfish. He was so insensitive about a lot of things, which turned me off to the idea of him. A lot of the things that he also said was just like out of pocket and like a little unwarranted. Like, especially the way that he treated Lily, because he didn't know Lily's situation. He only knew Lo's situation because Lily was only trying to focus on Lo instead of focusing on herself as well. So I will say he was unfair to Lily in that aspect, but that was only because he didn't know. And then I liked that he was big enough to say, he was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know about your situation. And he actually apologized for all the insensitive things that he said about her. Because he was just basically calling her a terrible girlfriend, which I wouldn't say she was a terrible girlfriend. I would just say she was a little ignorant. This book had me in tears, especially towards the end. I heard like throughout the series that they get great character development, like you wouldn't even recognize them. They even came so far throughout the book. I don't know what it, but like it truly, like I loved this book. Like it easily gets a 4.5 from me. And I know a lot of people don't like the first book. They wait until they don't really get into it until Kiss Me in the Sky, which is I think like the fourth book. Which by then they have like all this character development, but I liked the progress that they made in here. You get that sense of found family. Found family, I love that aspect. I started to see it more and more, and I started to get excited and connected to the characters like Connor and like Wright. Their found family is kind of like family already, but besides Connor, which is fine. All right, guys, that was it for me. Soon we're going to be doing a TBR for February. I read a total of 10 books. Yeah, See you guys next time.